And it wouldn't be hard to find us being the only gathering going on in Pittsburgh right now.
Right.
So at least we were able to get in front of it to a degree in which there's not a big loss. In enough time to scramble and make some plans for the Passover in your respective areas. Okay, so I've already spoke with the California. Same, Elder Yurok is over that. You don't have to worry about that. Continue your planning. There's nothing wrong there. But just make sure, and we're going to just make sure we all take extra precautions and measures during this Passover, which means we have to make sure if brothers and sisters are coming, make sure that you're not dealing with any type of respiratory issues or anything that can deem even a cold. Mm-hmm. It's almost illegal to have a cold right now.
Right.
To a degree where someone may come in there and say, well, there's some type of warrant to come through and check to see if anyone's sick, and now it's reason for quarantine and all that old stuff that they claim. All right, so we have to be in front of it, understanding the wiles and the devil's tactics. So make sure that if you're dealing with some type of cold or whatever, don't worry about it. Take your lamb, your wine with your family, pray with us, turn on YouTube and have the Passover with us at home. A lot of you came into this just like this by looking through your computers anyway. Mm-hmm. Share the Passover with us at home, okay? Because we're living in some serious, precarious, weird end-day times, okay? And this is different than anyone in America since its existence. This is deeper or bigger than anything any of us have seen to date, where it's illegal to go out almost, being quarantined in your home. They're talking about rolling out the same plans they had in Italy and China, quarantine, okay? Military now isn't dealing with any cash in certain wings of the military. Mm-hmm. A whole system reset happening right up under us as it was prophesied. But brothers and sisters, you are not to be wary. Okay, you have to stay with the spiritual resolve and know that the Most High will bring us through. And keep in mind what I've noticed, and I don't have no problem with it, but sometimes during this year or during holy days, you'll get people who believe in what we believe in, but only come around during the holy days, or when you understand we're coming into these times, while other people have been holding the mantle, have been holding the fort and working so that you would have a place to come into. It's time not just to be a holy day Israelite. It's time to come in all the way. That's right. If you're going to be in. That's right. Because we're circling the wagons. We're trying to figure out who's who amongst us. And those that have held the fort, men, women, and children, take president. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, just saying it straight out. So the internet Israelite who just been following through and just gonna pop up and no one know you, and we living in times where anything can get infiltrated at any time. Who knows? Based on what's going on, eventually we just gonna have to teach and just focus on those who are within our proximity, within our body. So it's time to step up. It's time to step up. This is some serious times we living in.
That's right.
It's deeper than the corona. If you don't think that, I need you to look at your screen. What are we looking at here? I'm going to blow this up so everyone can see it. What do you see in here? I don't even care if y'all see me right now. Just look at this. Look at that. I need y'all to see this. What are you looking at here? USA Jobs, Public Advisor Quarantine Program Department of Health and Human Services, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Check out this overview for these job descriptions. They've been hiring since when? November 15th, 2019 is when they began to hire for quarantining due to a virus. The open and closing dates for these interviews to be hired was between 11/15/2019 and May 15th, 2020. So before there was any such thing as corona on the news, on the lips of your news anchors, they were hiring people for what? The quarantine program. And I need y'all to see this real quick. Locations for the quarantine: Anchorage, Alaska; San Diego, California; Los Angeles, California; San Francisco, California. And then show more locations: Miami, Honolulu, Boston, Mass, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Queens, New York. Now, I don't know how they think that, okay, it's only happening in Queens. That's where the location of the quarantines are. San Juan, Puerto Rico, El Paso, Dulles Airport, Virginia, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Newark, Philadelphia, Dallas, Houston, Seattle. So here are the locations of all the places, all the quarantine centers or the FEMA camps that will be used from coast to coast. And this was on the books before there was any such report as coronavirus. Before there was any such report as coronavirus. What do you hope to see? What are we going to see next? Check your screens. On Natural News, Denmark locks down entire country in response to coronavirus pandemic. Denmark locks down entire country. Well, hey, guess what? If you wanted to know whether or not it was going to happen, if any of you years ago was sitting back saying that, well, these guys are just crying wolf, everything is still the same, nothing happened, ha ha ha, look at what's going on. It's time. It's like a line has been drawn in the sand, and we have to choose which side we're going to be on. There's no in between. There's no lukewarm area anymore. And I'm looking at this. I love to see the numbers within 10 minutes, not even 20 minutes, and we got 1,200 people. I love to see people coming in because they need to hear what's going on. But it's deep that we have to be in these troubled times for people to actually give an ear. Mm-hmm. Out of nowhere yesterday, in the midst of this, because they knew the word, and what we've been teaching for years has been consistent because it's been the word of the Most High. Out of nowhere, 2,400 people were on the streams live out of nowhere yesterday in the midst of a disaster. But before all this, you know, everything was normal. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're hearing this. So that now you can take this seriously. Because why? The Most High says, Greek seeketh after wisdom, but Jacob seeketh a sign. The question here is, will Jacob take heed to the signs? Now, I just want to read a few things. I made the announcement. As far as Pittsburgh, we will not be coming together there. We're going to be dealing with Passover in our respective areas, and we're going to work with the elders to make it happen, where we parlay some of what we had or whatever the case is, to make sure we move it into areas so that we can still have our Passover and glorify the Most High and thank him for his dear son's sacrifice for our sins. We're still going to celebrate. This is not going to stop us from acknowledging the Most High and thanking Christ for his death on Calvary during Passover, and thanking him for delivering the truth to us in our time of need, our time of trouble. This is not going to stop us from worshiping the Most High. Okay? We went through way more trying times. When the Romans came against us in 70 AD, and beforehand we were running under catacombs, graves, and hiding, baptizing people in makeshift pools and all that, and still teaching the gospel and still celebrating the Passover. So guess what? Our forefathers went through more troubling times with Pharaoh on one side, the Red Sea on the other, but the Most High in the midst of us, like a pillar of fire. Mm-hmm. We've always gone through troubled times, and we're here again. But we're going to celebrate this Passover. I need you to read something real quick.
Yes, sir.
Let's read Hebrews real quick.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 2, verse number 14. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same.
Speaking of Christ.
That through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is, the devil.
So through Christ's blood, brothers and sisters, we've already received the victory. Satan is defeated already. It's just that we have to get to the finish line. We have to go through our tribulation and persecution like Christ did. But the victory has been won. Read.
Verse 15. And deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage.
So we were all through our whole lifetime, we were subject to bondage. Read.
Verse 15. And deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage.
So what puts us under bondage or quarantine or incarceration or spiritual bonds? Fear. Fear is what Satan uses to move his agenda. And it's through fear it puts people in bondage. People would actually sacrifice their liberty for safety. See? Through the fear of what might happen, be it corona, terrorist act, whatever the case is, you would give up all that means anything in life. You'll give up your freedoms, your liberty, your happiness, just to stay safe, because that's what Satan used. He's the top, what you would call, psychologist. He used psychology to put you in bondage through fear. But understand, Christ have already given us the victory. The Passover isn't canceled. Okay, let's make it clear. We just can't gather in Pittsburgh. Okay?
Right.
That's postponed in that same location, if all things is the same, 2021. Mm-hmm. But we're still going to have this Passover in our respective areas. And the elders and deacons are going to rally together. The sisters there in the administration with the elders and deacons, the wives of the husbands, are going to come together with the children, and we're going to celebrate like it's almost over. And the kingdom of Israel is coming in next. That's how we're celebrating this Passover. We're not getting caught up in the hysteria of the scare of what's going on in the media. We're not getting caught up in that. Those are the things the Gentiles seek. They think of the cares of the world, whether or not they'll be able to go to a game and all that. No, guess what? There's a reality check for everyone, including the Gentiles right now. What happens when this world stops and you didn't prepare for the world to come? What happened when this world stops and you put no spiritual equity into the world to come? So those are the only people that are scared right now. Those who haven't invested in a kingdom they haven't seen yet. A kingdom that will soon appear. Last but not least, let's go straight to 2nd Esdras.
Yes, sir. 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse number 10.
This is where we are in prophecy. Read.
2nd Esdras 15, verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter.
We've been led as a flock to the slaughter. Why? Through fear. Open this Bible. It's time now to open this Bible and read and come close to the Most High and be directed spiritually. Read.
I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt.
Come on.
But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before.
As before. Come on.
And will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it.
Come on.
They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail.
Let's go straight there.
Yes, sir. Verse 16th edition.
Yeah, right here. The 17th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city.
A man shall desire to go into a city.
And shall not be able.
And shall not be able. Are we not living in that time right now? This is real-time reporting. You cannot get this from CNN. They're drumming up fear. You can't get this from your local news. Because they can't tell you the end game to all of this. See? But prophetically, this is where we are. They've put something in place that will forbid some people from going city to city. A brother just came back from overseas and he told me he only had one connecting flight. And he went through all types of questioning that he've never heard before about Corona. When yet they've been hiring people for quarantining for the Corona or any other pandemic since November the 11th, 2020. He said they were asking what cities, what countries have you flew into? Have you flown into China lately? And then you would think that once he was past the screen, because once you pass the screen and they put it into a database. But once he got to the next airport with the correct connecting flight overseas, he was asked the same line of questions before he could come to the United States. And then when he got to the United States, he was asked the same line of questioning. Read.
Verse 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed.
The houses shall be destroyed.
And men shall be afraid.
And men shall be afraid. Because why do you think they want to keep people still and quarantine them? Because now people are sitting ducks. That's the plan. That's their plan. But God has another plan for his elect. That's their plan. But we're not fearful of their plan. We're here to serve the living God. We're gonna do what the Most High say and be protected under his hedge. Right? That's our plan. To fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of man.
That's right.
And him only should we fear. Okay? Read.
Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoiled their goods because of the lack of bread.
Because of the what?
Because of the lack of bread.
People talking about no bleaching toilet paper. This is real-time reporting. There's going to be a lack of bread. We've been telling people for 7 years to stock up so you're not in those streets during this chaos. For 7 years, we've been telling people, stock up. For a lack of bread, what happens now through a scare that your trucks now are not delivering your goods? When now employees cannot come into the bakery to even bake the bread that would be placed on the trucks to be rolled into our stores. What happens? What happens when it's illegal, almost illegal to breathe or touch another person? All the businesses within the United States are about to belly up. This is what happens when you use a virus to topple a capitalistic society that's built strictly on grandizing itself and capitalizing off of others. What happens when the opportunity no longer presents itself to capitalize? Read.
And for great tribulation. Verse number 20. Behold, saith the Most High.
Someone says, I don't care about the fees paid. GOCC elders can keep that. But the airline tickets were, and I can understand that. I think you missed it, sister, where I said that in the midst of this, some of the reports I'm getting is that you can actually work with the airline based on these emergencies. Okay, you have to understand what the bottom lines are. And because keep in mind, the Gathering of Christ Church, I mean, you can't imagine how much we have lost personally in preparation for next week. Okay. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Behind the scenes, you had no idea have we been tearing our hair out trying to make sure this thing go and trying to understand its fluidity and what was going on so that we can actually pull this off and make sure it was a great gathering for you this year like it was last year. But this is beyond our control. But in certain instances, contact your airline, just like we were able to postpone it to 2020. Because of this corona thing, and they're making it almost whatever the case is, even if they don't give you the money back, you can use the airline tickets and put it on the books as credit because you may need that credit to fly somewhere else. And they will at least 9 times out of 10, I believe, allow you to have the credit. Even if they don't give you the money back, you may need that flight in the pocket. Okay? So don't look at it as a loss. You have to look at how to operate within this scenario, understanding its circumstance, like we are. Okay? It's not an easy thing coming here letting you know that based on this stuff that we don't see no one dying from, law has kicked in to forbid people from gathering in certain areas, in certain cities and states, over the number of 250 people. What happens when you have almost 3,000 people converging in a city where people are not even gathering in bars right now, and you see nothing but an army of black people gathering in one place? Black, Hispanics, Gentiles too. But you know, you understand? And then here it is, you done got your flights, you got your children there, everything. You done lost the flight anyway because you're there. And then by the time you get to the door, they have the sheriff there saying, I'm sorry, I know y'all spent all this money, and I know you did all this. I know you got on the plane with your children and all that, but the corona. I'm sorry, there's no events here. It can't happen. And that's your business that your money went there. It's not of our business. This is a public safety matter. Okay? So I'm just putting it out there and getting in front of it. so it lets you know what's going on so that you can prepare accordingly. And the worst case scenario is 9 times out of 10, you can get a credit. Okay, because you'll need that. Believe me, you'll need that flight. One way or the other. Okay. So the Most High is in control of it. I have no control of what the governments are doing here. I just have to make sure that according to the Most High, we have our Passover. Even if it's in the respective local areas in Raleigh to do so, that's the contingent plan. Mm-hmm. We must do the Passover. It's a sign between the Most High and us. It's the Sabbath of all Sabbaths. Okay? And regardless of the money, outside of the money, the Most High understand what we're there for. We're there to commemorate and remember that sacrifice that even give us the opportunity to come together and understand that we are the true children of Israel. It was Christ's blood on Calvary for that.
Right.
So if we have to put this in perspective. If I had the opportunity to just make everything right and indemnify everyone from something unforeseen, I would just do it. But I'm blindsided. I mean, this thing have been, it hasn't been easy, We have to take these licks and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Read on.
Jumping to 2 Ezra 16 and 70.
Yeah.
For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Mm-hmm. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen.
And at that time is going to know who is really down with the Most High. The plan is this. Eventually. Read.
And they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand.
The days of trouble is at hand. That's why I titled this Passover 2020 in the midst of Jacob's trouble. Read.
But I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt.
Say that again.
Be ye not afraid, neither doubt.
Be ye not afraid, and brothers and sisters, don't doubt anything. Okay? Even in losses, count it all joy. The Most High can restore finances. He can replace that. But we must stay fortified, and we must do what? Listen to this. Read it.
Be ye not afraid, neither doubt.
Neither doubt, come on.
For the Most High is your guide.
For the Most High will guide us. That's why we need to be there at our respective Passovers, wherever it is. We can't do it in the midst of this 60-day period they're saying that no one can gather past 250 people. Now, this may fly over just like the swine flu flew over with all the hysteria. Don't forget, this happened 10 years ago, but not to this degree. I'm talking about the infrastructure in place. The infrastructure in place like they're doing now, it wasn't like this back then.
Right.
And when you look at your web, Denmark, all over the earth, if someone not die, but if someone has a cold, they can shut down the whole country now. USA Jobs. Here's an international job site. Public Health Advisor quarantine program. When did this program begin? Where they started hiring people to quarantine Americans? November 15th, 2019, before there was any trace of corona, they were hiring people to do what? to quarantine people due to health reasons. In these specific cities, summary serves as a project representative for a program responsible for preventing the importation and spread of communicable diseases. Look at this. They were already hiring for the position before there was any corona scare. So it's not the disease that's going down. It's the New World Order's plan of quarantine that's going down.
Right, the infrastructure.
The infrastructure is in place. Read.
Yes, sir. Jumping back to verse number 76. And the guide of them who keep my commandments.
That's the point I wanted to bring out. That line in the sand for each individual. You'll be guided by the Most High if you do what?
And the guide of them who keep my commandments.
Who keep my commandments. The laws, statutes, and commandments given to our forefathers. The Bible, follow it. The disciples walk, Christ's walk, Moses' walk, the prophets walk. Keeping the commandments written of within the Holy Scriptures. Read.
And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord God, let not your sins weigh you down.
And don't let your sins weigh you down. Is the Passover canceled? No, the Passover isn't canceled. Good question, but no. We will have it in your respective church locale. We cannot have it at the convention center due to the laws they're putting on the books for Pittsburgh or the state of Pennsylvania during a time of pandemic, not really allowing people to gather beyond the capacity of what you would call 250 people. And we have thousands of people coming that was scheduled months in advance to come into Pennsylvania. So no, it's not canceled. The Passover will go on earth as it is in heaven. Read.
Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
And it says, and don't let your sins lift up themselves. Read.
Verse 77. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins.
Woe be unto them who are bound with their sins.
And covered with their iniquities.
And covered with their iniquities.
Like as a field is covered with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through.
Exactly. These are the people who are going to get caught up in all of this. Those who wasn't seeking the Most High in due time. Who wasn't keeping his commandments. These are they who's going to get caught up into this. Read.
Verse 77, or verse number 78. It is left undressed and cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
Come on.
Let's sit on that.
So there it is. I wanted to make the announcement that because of the scare of this virus, it's really throughout the whole country, but the state of Pennsylvania in particular is stating that no one should gather, no group gatherings over 250. If we converge together, thousands of people were scheduled to go into Pittsburgh next week. We'll be the only thing moving in Pittsburgh. The sheriff will come in there and say, listen, we said 250, and we would lose all the money, at least by postponing it a year. We've bought ourselves some time, and now we have to rally with the elders to move the gatherings in their respective locales and make sure we have lamb, food, drink, and everything that's needed to bring forth this Passover in your location. And you know what? It's going to happen. So we thank you, brothers and sisters. I know based on the atmosphere, every place you go, this is what people are talking about. You are wondering, where we stood. A lot of people were asking last night, what are we going to do in the midst of this? But it was still fluid at that time. We were still trying to work it out behind the scenes with these particular, with the convention and those that were behind the venue. We were still trying to work it out. But they couldn't give us no immediate answers. It was changing, folks, it's changing not by the day, not by the week, but it's changing by the hour.
Yep.
Yeah, grab his chair real quick. Here you go, Elder. It's changing. Check it out. This thing is changing. One moment. Elder Gocc just came in. Come on.
All right.
Yeah, this thing is changing not by the month or week or day. This thing is changing by the hour.
That's right.
And check out, I mean, we have a lot of people behind the scenes who've been working day and night, not getting any sleep. Gabar been working in I Am Apparel 2, 3 in the morning. Because the day before then, before the Sabbath comes in, we have the GOCC network where we actually support each other's gifts and all that. And we give gifts and we do all that a day beforehand. A day before that, we have an elders meeting we had scheduled.
Yeah.
And all the products that sisters and brothers made with their own hands are supported the day before we come together for the Passover. So imagine us working around the clock to make this the best day of the year for our people. Okay. And then we get blindsided with something like that. So that's why I didn't answer the questions last night, because we were still working behind the scenes with a fluid situation that was changing by the minute almost. And we finally got some resolve to a degree in which, Gabar, right now, we can postpone it, quote unquote, to 2021.
Right.
And that way we don't lose
The money.
that we put down for it.
Right.
All right. So we can move it that way, but still plan to have our locales. It's all good. All right.
And speaking on that fluidity, I mean, just in the course of last night's broadcast, you can imagine the stories that were coming in as we were broadcasting with the NBA, with the elimination of travel from Europe, and you know, all these things were coming in the midst of that broadcast we had last night. So as you were mentioning, a lot of things were still up in the air, a lot of things still fluid, and we're still trying to work to make sure that things happen. But you know,
we were working towards making it happen, even up to the last minute. When I was asking, I was still leaning towards, I don't care. Let the Most High, we're going to go and let the Most High work. That's where I was. I don't care. But then it came in, well, the governor said, well, listen, 250 people. That means we get all these people with their men, pregnant women, brothers with all their children, everyone dressed all nice. And guess what? It's exhausted enough just traveling, especially in this atmosphere, in this environment right now. In which every breathing is almost illegal.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, this is painstaking, and this is something I didn't want, but we have to protect the people. And who knows, they'll see a little girl wiping her nose somewhere and try to quarantine somebody. And now we had somebody come for the Passover or whatever. Now someone is locked. And that it all comes on us, because that's how these convention centers, they're connected. They all are connected together and all that.
Yeah. And it can also add,
what's
happening in nationwide is that there is not enough so-called quote-unquote testing kits.
Right?
So what's happening with hospitals is that when somebody comes in and they are displaying the symptoms, and they don't have the proper kit to identify what's wrong with them, they quarantine them until they find that out. And that could take a day or 2 weeks, what have you, doesn't matter, and things of that nature. So let's say, God forbid, we go through this situation, because what's happening now is that the governor is strongly recommended for all major venues to cancel their event that is more than 250 people.
Yeah.
So what's happening with the venue now is that they just want us to just postpone it for another time or things of that nature. For we're trying to get out of this contract altogether, but as the other was saying, it's one of these things that these venues are trying to just postpone it, and we're trying to get out of it altogether. However, though, in the meantime, let's just say hypothetically we do go with it, because legally we could still go along with it, but it's a day by day. Because if they elevate us to 0.3 by next week, which is saying they may do that, it's out of our hands and also the venue's hands, right? Because the state will come in. Right. But let's say hypothetically, we do go through this thing, and one person gets sick in the venue. We rush them to the hospital because they passed out or something happened. They don't have enough kit to test this person to see if they have this disease. Or let's say they do say yes, they have the coronavirus, right?
Yep.
Well, just
we have to quarantine the whole 2,000 people.
Yeah. Based on what I'm seeing now, and that's what I was saying. Based on what I'm seeing now, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's nothing for them. Don't forget, when it comes to the children of Israel coming back to the Most High, you have to look at this is. Right now, this is the growing quote-unquote religion within America right now. Churches are losing their numbers. Mosques are losing their numbers. The only quote-unquote religion or belief system that's actually growing in America is God's people realizing they're Israelites. So there's no doubt about it. I don't have no doubt about in this environment where they can demonize anything. 9 times out of 10, they're looking for something to point to demonize, or to claim, or to connect us with some type of virus or something. Yeah. So even if a child is sitting there sniffing their nose, you know how children play and sniff their nose all the time? That can be deadly to a degree where their family is quarantined. We're not going to just let you take one of our brothers or sisters out of there. So now there's a whole nother scenario going on. So you know what? I'm like, you know what? It's not even worth it in this environment, because anything they say right now, the people will believe. And it's obvious they'll believe it. Look at what's going on right now, and no one is witnessing anyone dying of some coronavirus. Yeah. So it's how they'll report that it's just primed for some type of provocation or incident to be created.
Yeah, and also can I also add what I recommend also the people from the churches is that.
Yeah. Okay, hold up. Ramar wanted to make a statement.
Okay. You can go.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then you can.
Okay. I think people should start calling hospitals in their area to say, "Do you guys have the corona kit?" In my opinion. Why? Because some people may feel sick. And things
you know what? I'm leaving that alone. I know you on this kit, but but listen, I'm leaving that alone.
No, but the reason why
I'm saying because this is what they're doing now. I believe is they're throwing baits out there. Right. I don't think we need to follow any of these storylines, deal with anything they're dealing with. If anything, we as elders will discuss what we do. Right. But I wouldn't put nothing out there for somebody to put. They'll take our advice and call something, and next thing you know, they're up in the quarantine somewhere.
I hear you what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if somebody has to go to the hospital, somebody's sick, and things. A good example, my wife, she gets the MS, so, the weather sometimes affects her mood and things of that nature. And she was like, you know what, I'm afraid to go, and they'll quarantine me, because now you have a sniffle, everybody is in high alert. So the fear is that somebody may get sick or legitimately had nothing to do with this corona and things of that nature. They'll go there and then they get quarantined and things of that nature. Or someone who may need medical attention may not go, and something worse will happen. So there has to be some conversation with that.
But I understand. But when we're sitting here and all right, I'm not giving nothing on this, because if you believe any of it and follow it, if anything, you're casting your line in so that they can follow it. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, but
absolutely. And also, so if you are home, try to stay home, especially if you have a little cough, if you have a little thing, because you're walking around. Who knows what next week they may pass a law or a thing that if a police officer see anybody coughing, they have the right to quarantine that person or what have you. So if you do have the sniffles and things of that nature, stay home, because right now they are attacking anybody who's sick or seems sick.
Yeah.
So stay home. Make sure you eat healthy. Make sure you drink enough water. Make sure you don't get sick for something else, because you got that. I think there's allergy season, right? And people sneeze naturally because of allergy season. So if you go, it's probably best for you to stay home and only go out if you need in things of that nature. For then you don't create the scenario that you do get sick. Now you have to question: do I stay home or go to the hospital?
Absolutely.
Great point. Great point, Elder. Come on. We're about to break down, but Ramar wanted to make a statement. Ramar, what is it?
Well, real quick, Elder, I didn't know if you wanted to mention this in this announcement or not, but I just got a news update here that America has just struck Iraq targets, Iranian-backed targets in Iraq.
Hold up. They struck Iraq or Iran?
They struck Iranian-backed militia sites in Iraq.
Okay, so right now we understand why they put these measures in place. These were the measures to put everything on the ground, knowing that they was going to do a strike overseas.
So bait and switch is probably something.
No, it's not. No, it's one and the same.
It is all together.
Well, it was putting the infrastructure in place with military and others, as if it was wartime, knowing preemptively that they was going to strike in Iraq. So you say they struck Iranian what?
Iranian-backed
Iranian-backed militia sites in Iraq.
So so these were Iranian targets in Iraq. Okay, so this is not, hold up, this is not a strike on Iran, but still, indirectly, it's still connected with that high general that was killed off a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this is really preemptive war, and really all of this other environment, this corona and all that, no, and this not gathering and all that is because, I'm going to tell you, they are about to go to war with Iran, and they put the infrastructure in place. Yeah. This was the time we were talking about. Hey, all I have to say is we made our report. This Passover is going to be our sign between the Most High, between his people and the Most High. And now we need to start focusing more so inward on how we're going to guide these people who are baptized.
Absolutely.
We'll be doing our reports. We'll be going into city to city. We're going to be announcing what we can announce. But everything that the Most High showed us since the beginning of this ministry is here.
That's right.
All right?
That's right. More than ever, you should link up with an official GOCC body. Regardless if they're hours away, just introduce yourself to the deacon there who's overseeing, introduce yourself to the regional elder, and just linked up in a more personal perspective. You know, if you cannot make it every week or so forth, you know, every feast day and things of that nature. So at least people know you're there. I know many people have supported the academy and linked up that way, and that's great. Keep doing that because a lot gets dropped in the academy as well. But also find out what is the nearest church near you and things of that nature. At least you know where you're at. So in the event that you have to do some traveling, you know where we at. They know who you are and things of that nature. So that's very important.
I don't know if you, on that note, that's good. But I was mentioning, I know you was in the car.
Yeah.
Is that now it's really, that's good. We're still inviting people in to learn under us and be with us.
Yeah.
But we're more so taking precedent with those who have held down the reins up until this time.
Yeah.
Because anyone can run in a panic mode and haven't exercised some of the spirits that were on them from the world and only coming amongst us through panic. But still are bringing in those demons that haven't been shook off as of yet because you haven't operated with the body.
Yeah.
So still, we're inviting everybody in to be baptized and to learn. But who takes precedent? Those who have held the fort so that you'll have a place to come into. So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow with our elders tomorrow at 8 p.m. You stay prayed up, sin not. Where we at? Jacob's trouble. What is this? The gathering of Christ Church. What time is it? The end. Are you ready? Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Thank you, elders. Y'all stay strong, stay healthy, and stay prayed up. Shalom.